The galaxy was burning, and no one could stop it. Planets that had lived in peace for centuries were falling in flames. Cities that once reached the clouds were reduced to ash. Entire populations cried out, but the enemy gave no mercy. It was an empire so ruthless that even the strongest alien fleets crumbled under its iron grip. Desperate and broken, the Galactic Council gathered in its golden chamber. For days, voices shouted across the room. "We cannot hold much longer," one alien ruler cried, his scaled hands shaking. "Our fleets are broken. Our colonies are lost. If we do nothing, there will be nothing left of us." Another voice hissed from the shadows. "We already did everything. No power in this galaxy can face them. They are too many, too strong." A heavy silence filled the hall until one voice broke through. "There is one more option," said a tall elder with silver eyes. "We can send a call beyond our walls, to the ones we swore never to ask. To the humans." The chamber erupted in laughter and anger. "Humans, the Deathworlders?" One leader sneered. "They are dangerous, savage, unpredictable. We exiled them long ago. They will never help us." Another ruler slammed his clawed fist on the table. "They should not help us. They should stay in their cursed world. You know what they are capable of." But the elder's voice cut through their fear. "If we do not send the call, we are finished. Better to face the rage of humans than the death of the galaxy." At last, with trembling hands, the council agreed. The message was sent across the stars, a desperate cry for help. The signal raced through space, echoing across systems. It carried no promises, only fear. "Save us, or we will all be gone." For weeks, nothing happened. No answer came. Some counselors smirked in relief. "See," they said, "the humans ignore us. They hide, like the cowards they are." But deep on Earth, far from alien eyes, the signal had been received. In a hidden base carved under the frozen lands, a room lit up with red warnings. Screens flickered, voices spoke quickly. "The galaxy finally broke," one officer muttered, staring at the words of the desperate plea. "They called us." "After all this time?" Another soldier leaned back, a thin smile on his face. "Do we answer?" The commander stepped forward. His uniform was dark, his eyes sharp. "They forgot what we are. They mocked us. They locked us away. And now, when their world burns, they remember our name." For a moment, silence filled the command room. Then the commander gave the order. "Prepare the fleet. We answer, but not with mercy. We answer with fury." Engines long asleep roared awake. Massive black warships rose from the hidden hangars beneath the ice, their shadows stretching like monsters across the land. Soldiers who had trained in silence for years now stood ready, their weapons gleaming under the cold lights. No songs were sung, no speeches were made. Humanity had been waiting. Across Earth's orbit, more ships appeared, scarred from battles fought long ago, but stronger, deadlier, and carrying weapons that no alien had ever seen. Inside one of the warships, a young pilot whispered, "They begged for our help. Do you think they'll like what they see when we arrive?" His captain's reply was cold. "They don't need to like it. They only need to survive it." Back in the golden chamber of the council, the alien leaders waited. Some prayed, some doubted, most feared. Suddenly, the skies above their capital world darkened. Shadows larger than mountains moved silently. A low hum shook the air as a fleet unlike anything they had ever seen entered orbit. The first Terran warship blotted out their sun. Gasps filled the council chamber. "They came," one ruler whispered, his voice trembling. "By the stars, the humans came." Then a voice cut across every channel in the galaxy, calm but filled with steel. "We heard your cry. We will answer." A wave of relief spread through the council, but it froze when the voice continued, colder than before. "You will see the cost of calling the Deathworlders." The chamber fell into silence. The galaxy had cried for help, but what came was not a promise of peace. It was a fleet forged on the deadliest world, a fleet trained in shadows, a fleet that had waited for this moment. And when they moved, the galaxy would understand the meaning of fury. The fleet was stirring, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Deep under the frozen plains of Earth, hangars that had been locked for decades now trembled as titanic machines came alive. Soldiers rushed through metallic corridors, their boots echoing against steel floors. Engines roared to life, shaking the ground, while massive doors split the ice above and revealed shadows hidden for generations. In the command deck of the largest warship, the Terran commander stood tall, his eyes locked on the screen. "Status?" he asked sharply. "Engines online, weapons charged, shields at full," replied a young officer, his voice tight with both fear and excitement. Another voice reported, "The fleet is ready. We await your command." The commander nodded slowly. His voice dropped into a calm tone that made the entire room shiver. "Then we show them what a death world has forged." Across Earth's orbit, colossal ships began to rise. Some were sleek and sharp, built for speed and precision. Others were monstrous, shaped like floating fortresses, armed with weapons that glowed with strange energy. Their hulls bore scars from forgotten wars, but each one radiated power unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. A pilot inside one of the cruisers leaned forward, staring at the stars. "So it begins," he muttered, gripping the controls. His co-pilot gave a thin smile. "They called us weak. They called us dangerous. Now they'll learn both are true." The fleet moved with silence, but the air around them seemed to hum with tension. On the ground, families gathered on the hillsides, watching the sky ignite with the fiery trails of warships leaving Earth. Children pointed in awe, while parents held them close. Some whispered prayers, others whispered warnings. A mother looked at her son and said softly, "Remember this night. Humanity rises not for mercy, but for survival." Far away in the Galactic Council's chambers, alien rulers stared nervously at their screens. "What is this?" one demanded, watching the sensors flare. "Movement on the edge of Earth's system. Large signatures," another ruler hissed. "Too large. That is not a fleet. That is an army." A wave of panic rushed through the chamber as more signals appeared. The humans had not just answered. They had prepared for this day all along. "They hid their strength," one alien whispered, horrified. "They waited in silence while we mocked them." "Silence is the weapon of predators," another replied grimly. "And we invited them to hunt." Meanwhile, the invading Empire's scouts were already on the move, monitoring transmissions from the edge of human space. A scout ship captain sneered as he read the data. "So the humans finally rise. Good. It will make crushing them more satisfying." His crew chuckled, unaware of the storm coming. Hours later, those same scouts sent out desperate signals as their ships vanished, torn apart by human interceptors that moved faster than their eyes could follow. "Command, help us!" one cried into the comms, his voice filled with terror. "They're everywhere. They're—" The transmission ended in static. On the flagship, a young technician turned to his commander. "Scouts are gone. No survivors?" The commander's expression didn't change, as expected. "They wanted to test us. Let that be their first lesson." In the heart of the fleet, tension spread through every deck. Soldiers polished their weapons. Pilots strapped into their fighters. Engineers checked the reactors again and again. No one laughed, no one spoke of glory. They knew the weight of what they carried. Inside one of the smaller carriers, two soldiers whispered in the quiet before battle. "Do you think the aliens really believe we'll save them?" the first asked. The second gave a bitter chuckle. "They'll find out. We don't save. We end threats. That's the only way Earth has survived this long." Back in the council chamber, fear was turning into hope. One alien leader leaned forward, his voice trembling. "If the humans fight for us, we may yet live." But the elder with silver eyes, who had first suggested the call, shook his head. "No, they will not fight for us. They will fight for themselves. And if we survive, it will be because their fury leaves no one standing against them." Above the alien capital world, a ripple tore across the night sky. Then the first Terran ships arrived. The fleet did not descend with fanfare. They arrived in silence, their shadows blotting out the stars, their weapons glowing faintly like the eyes of beasts waiting to strike. The chamber of rulers went dead silent. One whispered, "By the stars they came." Another whispered back, "By the stars, we may regret it." Across every channel in the galaxy, a voice spoke, calm, steady, chilling. "This is the Death Worlder fleet. We have heard your cry. We will answer." Relief swept through the chamber for a brief second until the voice continued. "But know this. We fight our wars to end them. If you called us, then you accept the fire that comes with us. There will be no mercy. There will only be survival." The transmission ended, leaving only silence. On every world that had begged for rescue, people lifted their eyes to the skies and trembled. Some cried in joy, others in fear, because they all understood one truth. The humans had awakened, and their fleet was not made for peace. It was made for fury. The Galactic Council's chamber was silent as the shadows of the Terran fleet covered their skies. Alien leaders who once mocked humanity now sat frozen, their eyes fixed on the massive screens showing Earth's warships in orbit. Each vessel looked like a nightmare made real, dark, colossal, and armed with weapons that glowed like burning stars. The elder with silver eyes rose slowly, his voice trembling. "You wished for help," he said to the council, "and it has come. But this is not the help you imagined." No one argued. Their voices were lost to fear. Above the capital world, the human fleet hovered like predators. Communication lines buzzed as alien admirals tried to reach them. One alien commander pressed his claws into the console. "This is Admiral Core of the Council Fleet. Identify your purpose." The reply came in a cold human voice that echoed across every channel. "This is the Death Worlder Fleet. We came because you called us. But we do not fight for your council. We fight for the survival of the galaxy, and for the end of those who think they rule it through fire." The councillors exchanged uneasy glances. One of them, a tall insectoid leader, hissed, "They speak as if they are masters, not allies. We cannot allow them to control the war." Another ruler, scales glittering, snapped back, "And what choice do we have? Look outside. Do you think your fleets can match theirs?" Arguments broke out, voices clashing in panic, until the elder shouted, "Silence!" The chamber froze. His silver eyes reflected the ships above them. "You may argue, but the truth is simple. We are not in command anymore. They are. In orbit, human commanders studied the alien world below. On the flagship's bridge, Admiral Hayes stood like a statue. "They fear us already," said one of his officers. Hayes nodded. "Good. Fear is the only shield strong enough to hold this galaxy together. If they survive this war, they'll remember it was fear that kept them alive." Another officer leaned closer. "Sir, Council fleets are waiting for our orders. Do we coordinate with them?" Hayes shook his head. "No. They follow or they fall. Humanity does not beg for allies. We lead." At that very moment, alarms rang across the Council's defenses. Enemy ships, massive and brutal, tore into the system. The invaders had arrived earlier than expected, their black and red war machines glowing with deadly light. Panic filled the council chamber as the first reports came in. "They're here!" shouted one commander. "The enemy has reached orbit." Terran warships moved instantly. Engines flared, weapons locked, and without waiting for permission, the human fleet struck. The first volley lit up the void. Beams of energy split through the enemy's vanguard, tearing ships apart in seconds. Missiles streaked like burning comets, finding their targets and exploding with precision that shook the enemy lines. Alien generals gasped in shock as they watched the display. "Impossible," one muttered. "No fleet moves like that. Not even ours." But the humans weren't finished. Smaller strike ships swarmed like wolves, circling enemy cruisers and crippling them with pinpoint strikes. Within minutes, the balance of the battle had shifted. Back in the council chamber, a young alien noble whispered, "Perhaps they are saviors after all." But the elder shook his head. "No, they are not saviors. They are executioners, and we are all under their judgment." On the battlefield, the enemy fought back, unleashing waves of plasma and fire. Council fleets hesitated, unsure whether to follow humanity's lead. One alien admiral barked in fear, "If we go in, we'll be caught in their fire." Another shouted, "If we stay back, we'll be slaughtered." Then through the chaos, Admiral Hayes's voice cut across every channel, sharp and unyielding. "Council fleets, stand behind us. You will cover the wounded. If you cannot, then stay out of our way." The order was not a request. Council fleets moved reluctantly, but the humans' command was clear and absolute. And as they obeyed, they saw something that left them stunned. The humans did not fight like anyone else. They fought with a precision and brutality that turned the tide instantly. Where the enemy advanced, humanity carved holes. Where the enemy pushed, humanity crushed them back. Even the most battle-hardened alien commanders stared in disbelief. "They fight as if they have done this 1,000 times before," one whispered. Inside the flagship, Hayes watched the battle unfold. "Report. Enemy fleets are breaking, sir." They didn't expect this resistance. Hayes's lips curved into a thin smile. "Good, let them run. But make sure they don't forget what chased them." Human warships pressed forward, cutting off escape routes, trapping enemy ships in webs of fire. One by one, the invaders were destroyed. The council chamber filled with stunned silence as the battle ended far sooner than anyone expected. Then, a chilling realization struck them all. The enemy had retreated, but not because of the council's fleets, not because of unity, not because of desperate courage. They had retreated because of Earth, because of the Death Worlders. The insectoid leader broke the silence first. "We asked for help. We called for aid. But what we brought here is something else. Something dangerous." Another alien whispered, "What if they turn on us after this war? What if the galaxy trades one empire for another?" The elder with silver eyes looked up at the screens showing humanity's fleet, their weapons still glowing in the dark. "That is the price of survival," he said quietly. "You cannot call the storm and expect to stay dry." Above their heads, the Terran fleet hung in silence, like hunters watching prey. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy had just learned a truth it would never forget. When the Council cried for help, Earth had answered. Not as friends, not as allies, but as a force of fury that would decide the fate of all. The battlefield was not silent for long. The enemy, though bloodied and broken from the first clash, was far from defeated. From the dark edges of the system, new signals appeared, larger than before. Enemy reinforcements warped into the void, their ships forming walls of fire and steel. Their commander, a monstrous being with burning red eyes, spoke across every channel. "You will pay for this insult, humans. You dare strike us? Then you will drown in our fury." On the flagship of the Death Worlder fleet, Admiral Hayes stood calm as chaos swirled around him. "Enemy reinforcements incoming," reported his officer, eyes locked on the glowing red icons that filled the screen. "Numbers?" Hayes asked coldly. "Triple our fleet." "At least." A hush swept across the bridge. The humans were outnumbered, but no one moved in fear. The Admiral's lips curled into the faintest smile. "Good, then it won't be a fight. It will be a slaughter." The order came swift. "All ships, formation Delta, fighters, prepare for first strike." Engines roared, weapons flared, and human ships turned into predators ready to tear into prey. On the council world below, alien leaders stared in shock. "They're outnumbered," one shouted. "They cannot win against that." But the elder with silver eyes only leaned back. "They are Death Worlders. They do not count numbers the way you do." The void erupted in fire. Human ships struck first, unleashing volleys of beams and missiles before the enemy could form. Dozens of enemy cruisers vanished in seconds, torn apart before their shields could hold. Terran fighters darted between enemy lines, weaving like hunters through prey, leaving burning wrecks behind them. On the bridge of one human carrier, a young pilot laughed bitterly as he locked onto another enemy frigate. "They think size will save them. They've never faced us before." His missile struck true, splitting the frigate in half as its crew screamed into the void, but the enemy was ruthless, and soon their numbers pressed forward. Massive dreadnoughts fired heavy cannons, ripping through human shields. One Terran ship was struck head-on, flames pouring from its hull as alarms blared. The crew shouted in panic, "We're hit! Systems failing!" In the chaos, another voice came through the comms. Calm, steady, unyielding. "Hold your ground. You are not alone." A pair of Terran destroyers broke formation, shielding the burning ship with their own bodies, unleashing everything they had until the enemy guns went silent. Sacrifice was common among humans, but to the aliens watching it looked like madness. In the council chamber, one alien leader whispered, "They fight as if death means nothing to them." Another answered in awe, "Perhaps to them it never has." Admiral Hayes's voice rang out across his fleet. Push forward. Show them what it means to challenge a death world. Human warships pressed on, their movements sharp and exact. Enemy fleets tried to encircle them, but every attempt was met with brutal counterattacks. Where others would retreat, humans advanced. Where others would fear, humans struck harder. Slowly, impossibly, the tide began to turn. Then came the twist. Enemy reinforcements brought something new. A massive ship, larger than any the Council had ever seen. It appeared from the shadows like a floating mountain, bristling with weapons. Gasps filled the alien chamber. "What is that?" one cried. "It's a super dreadnought," another answered, trembling. "No fleet has ever survived one." On the flagship, officers stared at the monstrous vessel. "Sir, that thing could destroy us all." Hayes narrowed his eyes. "Then we destroy it first." He gave the order without hesitation. "All ships target the behemoth. Fighters cripple its eyes. Bombers strike the heart." No retreat, the battle turned into a storm. Fighters swarmed the giant like wasps stinging a beast. Cannons roared as human warships poured fire into its shields. For a moment it seemed hopeless. The super dreadnought fired once, and a Terran cruiser exploded into nothingness. Screams echoed across the comms. Another blast crippled a destroyer. Hope wavered until something unexpected happened. From within the massive Terran flagship, a hidden weapon came online. A weapon the Council had never known existed. "Sir, the Nova Lance is charged," an officer reported. His eyes glinted with cold fury. "Fire!" A beam brighter than a star tore through the void, slicing straight into the enemy, super dreadnought. Its shields shattered, its armor melted, and its colossal body split apart in a burning explosion that lit up the system. Every Council member watching gasped in awe and terror. One whispered, "What have they built? What monsters are they?" Silence followed the explosion, broken only by Hayes's voice. "This is the fate of those who think numbers can defeat us. Remember it well." The enemy fleets, once bold, began to retreat in panic, their courage shattered by the destruction of their greatest weapon. Terran warships chased them down, striking with relentless fury until only wreckage remained. In the Council chamber, relief spread, but so did unease. Some leaders cheered, others stared at the screens with dread. The elder spoke softly, almost to himself. "The galaxy begged for help, but what it has awakened is not help. It is a force too great to control." Above, the Deathwelder fleet floated in silence, victorious but unyielding. Every alien eye was fixed on them, and every heart trembled with the same thought. Humanity had struck first, and the galaxy would never be the same. The battlefield was littered with wreckage, burning fragments drifting across the stars. The Terran fleet hovered among the ruins, victorious but not yet finished. The enemy had retreated, but no one believed it was the end. Everyone in the Council chamber stared at the glowing screens, whispering in fear. "They turned the tide," one alien leader muttered. "They destroyed a super dreadnought." Another voice trembled. "If they can destroy that, what can they not destroy?" On the flagship, Admiral Hayes stood silent, his eyes locked on the fading signals of retreating ships. His officers waited for orders. One finally spoke. "Sir, enemy fleets are in disarray." "Do we let them go?" Hayes's voice was steady, cold. "No, chase them, hunt them. Leave nothing for them to rebuild." The order carried across the comms, and every human ship surged forward once more. The galaxy watched in awe. Human warships hunted the enemy across multiple systems, striking with precision. No fleet escaped. Every ambush the enemy set was turned against them. Missiles tracked their prey through hyperspace. Fighters cut supply lines with ruthless speed. The Deathwelder fleet moved like a blade carving through the darkness. In the Council chamber, fear and hope collided. Some rulers cheered the humans' success. Others whispered warnings. "They are too strong," hissed one insectoid noble. "If they finish the enemy, who will stop them from ruling us next?" The elder with silver eyes turned to face him. "Would you rather fall to the invaders who burn your cities, or to the humans who save them? Survival always comes with a price." The price became clear when the Council requested coordination. A tall reptilian leader called across the comms. "Terran Command, this is the Council fleet. We request strategy sharing. We must plan together." The response came not from Hayes, but from one of his captains. His voice was sharp, firm. "We do not share plans. You follow our lead or you stay behind. Those are your choices." The chamber erupted in outrage. "Arrogant humans," one shouted. "They treat us as servants." Another slammed his fist on the table. "We called them to save us, not to command us." But the elder only whispered, "You called the storm. Now you must stand in its shadow." Meanwhile, far from the council world, battles raged across broken colonies. On one world, enemy soldiers marched through burning streets, executing survivors. Suddenly the sky split as Terran dropships descended like falling stars. Human soldiers poured into the city, their armored boots shaking the ground. Their rifles burned with deadly precision. The enemy, who had slaughtered civilians with ease, found themselves outmatched by warriors who had trained in harsher fires. A survivor, trembling and weak, whispered as she watched the battle, "Who are they?" "What kind of people fight like this?" A human soldier knelt beside her, his voice steady. "We're from Earth and we don't lose." Word spread quickly. Everywhere the enemy struck, humans appeared, not just fighting but dominating. Council fleets, once scattered and broken, rallied behind the Deathworlders. Confidence returned, but so did unease. The galaxy had begged for help, but now it was clear they were following Earth, not leading. The enemy grew desperate. Realizing they could not defeat humans in open combat, they began using terror tactics. Worlds were set ablaze as they fled. Traps were laid, mines hidden in dead systems. On one mission, a Terran cruiser flew straight into a minefield. The explosion tore through its hull, alarms blaring. The crew screamed into the comms, "We're hit! We're not going to make it." Before despair could take hold, another Terran ship charged into the minefield, shields flaring, absorbing the blasts. "Stay with us," their captain barked. "We don't leave our own behind." With precise fire, they cleared the mines and dragged the wounded cruiser to safety. The council fleets watching were stunned. They whispered to each other. They protect even when it costs them. That is why they are feared. That is why they win. But the enemy was not finished. A secret transmission reached the council chamber. An intercepted message from the invaders. "We cannot break the humans head-on. We will strike their heart. We will burn Earth." Gasps filled the chamber. Panic spread. They plan to strike Earth itself. Unruler cried, "If Earth falls, so does their fleet." Another voice shouted, "We must warn them!" Yet before the council could send a message, a cold voice echoed across the chamber. It was Admiral Hayes. "We already know. They think they can reach our world. Let them try. They will learn why humanity is called Deathworlders." His words froze the chamber. No panic, no fear, only certainty. Hayes turned to his officers. "Begin preparations. Double defenses around Earth. Send decoys into every corridor. If they want our home, they'll choke on it." One officer asked quietly, "Sir, what if they strike faster than we can stop them?" Hayes's eyes narrowed. "Then they will see the fury of a planet that has never surrendered." The galaxy was changing. For the first time, the enemy's empire was breaking. Hope spread among the council worlds, but it was laced with dread. The humans had turned the tide, but the price was clear. The galaxy was no longer theirs to command. It belonged to Earth. Above the alien capital, the Terran fleet hung in silence, watching, waiting. And across the stars, whispers grew. The enemy feared the Deathworlders. The Allies feared them too. And soon, everyone would learn what it meant when Earth itself became the battlefield. The enemy came for Earth. From the outer edges of the galaxy, their armadas gathered, driven by rage and fear. Humanity had broken them in open battle, destroyed their pride, and crushed their strongest fleets. Now desperate for victory, they turned their eyes on the one place they thought would bring humans to their knees. Their plans spread across the galaxy in whispers. "Strike Earth, burn their home. Without it, the Deathworlders will fall." But Earth was no ordinary world. It was not soft, not gentle, not easy. It was a world that had forged humanity in fire and storms. To the enemy, it was only a target. To humans, it was the heart of their fury. Admiral Hayes stood on the flagship, staring at the glowing map of the incoming fleets. "They think they can reach us," he said quietly. His officers waited for orders, tense but unafraid. Hayes's voice hardened. They have chosen their grave. Prepare every ship. No retreat. No surrender. Today, Earth fights with us. On the ground, cities lit up as defenses came alive. Hidden railguns rose from the oceans, their barrels taller than towers. Satellites armed with weapons never before used moved into position above the planet. Across the skies, thousands of Terran fighters roared into the void, forming a shield of steel and fire around their home. Soldiers in armored suits lined the coasts and valleys, their voices steady as they prepared. "They come for our world," one soldier muttered. His commander replied, "Then they will never leave it." When the enemy arrived, the stars vanished behind their massive fleet. Hundreds of warships spread across the system, their engines burning red, their weapons glowing. The enemy commander sneered as he stared at Earth on his screen. "Primitive world. We will burn it clean." His words were cut short when the first Terran strike came. From the shadows of the moon, hidden fleets emerged, their cannons firing at once. The void exploded with light as missiles and beams tore into the enemy's front lines. Dozens of ships fell in the opening strike. "It's a trap!" Enemy voices screamed. They were waiting! Panic spread as Earth's defenses lit up the system. The battle was chaos. Enemy dreadnoughts pressed forward, firing endless waves of plasma, but Terran warships cut into their ranks with brutal precision. Railguns from Earth's surface pierced shields, punching holes through massive cruisers. Fighters swarmed in endless waves, striking like wolves, crippling engines and tearing through hulls. The void burned brighter than any sun. On the Council world, alien leaders watched in silence, their eyes wide with disbelief. "They fight not for us," one whispered. "They fight for themselves, for their home." Another muttered, "This is not war. This is vengeance." But the enemy had one final weapon. From the shadows, a colossal flagship appeared, larger than any seen before, its hull black as night, its weapons glowing with deadly red light. It moved slowly, like a mountain drifting through the stars. Fear spread through human ranks. "Sir, the enemy flagship is targeting Earth," an officer cried. "Its cannons could destroy a continent in one shot." Admiral Hayes stared at the screen, his face calm. "Then we don't give it the chance. All ships on me. We end this now." The Terran fleet surged forward, focusing fire on the monstrous flagship. Missiles rained down, beams tore across its hull, but its shields held. The giant weapon powered up, aiming directly at Earth. A red glow spread across its front, growing brighter, hotter, seconds from firing. Hayes clenched his fists. "Bring the Nova Lance online." The weapon that had destroyed a super dreadnought was charged again, its core glowing with blue light. The officer shouted, "Nova Lance ready, Admiral." Hayes gave the order with a cold, steady voice. "Fire!" The beam cut across the void like a blade from the stars, striking the enemy flagship. Its shields buckled, its armor cracked, flames poured from its hull. But the ship did not fall. It roared back with its massive cannon, firing a blast toward Earth. Gasps filled the bridge as the weapon streaked downward, faster than light, unstoppable. Then something unexpected happened. A single Terran ship, scarred and battered, broke formation. Its captain spoke calmly over the comms. "For Earth, for all of us." The ship hurled itself directly into the path of the enemy blast. The explosion ripped across the void. The ship shattered, but Earth was saved. Silence followed. Then Hayes's voice broke through. "He gave us the chance. Take it." The Nova Lance fired again, every Terran ship pouring their weapons into the crippled flagship. This time the monster split apart, exploding in a wave of fire that lit the entire system. Enemy fleets, leaderless and broken, fell into chaos. Terran ships chased them down, showing no mercy. The invaders who came to burn Earth were destroyed, their empire shattered in the final storm. When the battle ended, the stars were filled with wreckage. Earth stood untouched, still glowing blue and green in the darkness. Humanity had not only defended their world, they had broken the enemy's will forever. In the council chamber, alien leaders sat speechless. One finally whispered, "They did it. They saved us all." But the elder with silver eyes shook his head. No, they saved themselves. And in saving themselves, they saved us. Never forget, it was their fury that ended this war. Above Earth, the Death Welder fleet floated in silence, their weapons still warm, their shields still glowing. Admiral Hayes looked at his officers. "Send this message to every corner of the galaxy," he ordered. "Earth stands. Humanity stands. And we will never bow." The words echoed across the stars, reaching every world, friend and foe alike. The galaxy had cried for help. The Death Welders had answered, not with mercy, but with fury. And the galaxy would never forget the day Earth rose in fire and claimed its place among the stars.